FileVault is a method of using encryption with volumes on Mac computers. Encryption and decryption are performed on the fly. Versions and key features. FileVault was introduced with Mac OS X Panther, and could only be applied to a user's home directory, not the startup volume. The operating system uses an encrypted sparse disk image to present a volume for the home directory. Mac OS X Leopard and Mac OS X Snow Leopard use more modern sparse bundle disk images which spread the data over 8 MB files within a bundle. OS X Lion and newer offer FileVault 2, which is a significant redesign. This encrypts the entire OS X startup volume and typically includes the home directory, abandoning the disk image approach. For this approach to disk encryption, authorized users' information is loaded from a separate non-encrypted boot volume. Apple refers to the original iteration of FileVault as Legacy FileVault. FileVault, the original version of FileVault, was added in OS X Panther to encrypt a user's home directory. Master passwords and recovery keys. When FileVault is enabled, the system invites the user to create a master password for the computer. If a user password is forgotten, the master password or recovery key may be used to decrypt the files instead. Migration. Migration of FileVault home directories is subject to two limitations. There must be no prior migration to the target computer. The target must have no existing user accounts. If Migration Assistant has already been used or if there are user accounts on the target, before migration, FileVault must be disabled at the source. If transferring FileVault data from a previous Mac that uses 10.4 using the built-in utility to move data to a new machine, the data continues to be stored in the old sparse image format, and the user must turn FileVault off and then on again to re-encrypt in the new sparse bundle format. Manual encryption. Instead of using FileVault to encrypt a user's home directory, using disk utility, a user can create an encrypted disk image themselves and store any subset of their home directory in there. This encrypted image behaves similar to a FileVault encrypted home directory, but is under the user's maintenance. Encrypting only a part of a user's home directory might be problematic when applications need access to the encrypted files, which will not be available until the user mounts the encrypted image. This can be mitigated to a certain extent by making symbolic links for these specific files. Limitations and issues. Backups. These limitations apply to versions of Mac OS X prior to v10.7 only. Without Mac OS X Server, Time Machine will back up a FileVault home directory only while the user is logged out. In such cases, Time Machine is limited to backing up the home directory in its entirety. Using Mac OS X Server as a Time Machine destination, backups of FileVault home directories occur while users are logged in. Because FileVault restricts the ways in which other users' processes can access the user's content, some third-party backup solutions can back up the contents of a user's FileVault home directory only if other parts of the computer are excluded. Issues. Several shortcomings were identified in Legacy FileVault. Its security can be broken by cracking either 1024-bit RSA or 3DES. Legacy FileVault used the CBC mode of operation. FileVault 2 uses stronger XTSASW mode. Another issue is storage of keys in the Mac OS X Safe Sleep mode. A study published in 2008 found data remanence in dynamic random access memory, with data retention of seconds to minutes at room temperature and much longer times when memory chips were cooled to low temperature. The study authors were able to use a cold boot attack to recover cryptographic keys for several popular disk encryption systems, including FileVault, by taking advantage of redundancy in the way keys are stored after they have been expanded for efficient use, such as in key scheduling. The authors recommend that computers be powered down, rather than be left in a sleep state, when not in physical control by the owner. Early versions of FileVault automatically stored the user's passphrase in the system keychain, requiring the user to notice and manually disable this security hole. In 2006, following a talk at the 23rd Chaos Communication Congress titled Unlocking FileVault, an analysis of Apple's encrypted disk storage system, Jacob Appelbaum and Raw Philip Weinman released FileVault, which decrypts encrypted Mac OS X disk image files. FileVault 2 =security =. FileVault uses the user's login password as the encryption passphrase. It uses the AES-XTS mode of AES with 128-bit blocks and a 256-bit key to encrypt the disk, as recommended by NIST. Only unlock-enabled users can start or unlock the drive. Once unlocked, other users may also use the computer until it is shut down. Performance The I/O performance penalty for using FileVault 2 was found to be in the order of €20–30% when using CPUs with the AES instruction set, such as the Intel Core i. Performance deterioration will be larger for CPUs without this instruction set, such as older Core CPUs. Master passwords and recovery keys When FileVault 2 is enabled while the system is running, the system creates and displays a recovery key for the computer, and optionally offers the user to store the key with Apple. The 120-bit recovery key is encoded with all letters and numbers 1 through 9, and read from random, and therefore relies on the security of the PRNG used in OS X. During a cryptanalysis in 2012, this mechanism was found safe. Changing the recovery key is not possible without re-encrypting the FileVault volume. Validation Users who use FileVault 2 in OS X 10.9 and above can validate their key correctly works after encryption by running sudo fd setup validity recovery in terminal after encryption has finished. The key must be in form XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX a user account, if a volume to be used for startup is erased and encrypted before clean installation of OS X 10 July 4 or 10.8, there is a password for the volume. The clean system will immediately behave as if FileVault was enabled after installation. There is no recovery key, no option to store the key with Apple. When the computer is started, disk password will appear at the EFI login UI. This may be used to unlock the volume and start the system. The running system will present the traditional login window. Apple describes this type of approach as disk password based DEK. See also Apple Keychain, BitLocker, TrueCrypt. References: Apple previews Mac OS X Panther. Apple Press Info. Apple. June 23, 2003. Retrieved January 21, 2013. Scott W. Live FileVault and sparse bundled backups in Leopard http, macOS.com. Retrieved January 21, 2013. ABCD Apple Incorporated. OS X, about FileVault 2 inches. Apple Incorporated. Retrieved September 5, 2012. Apple Incorporated. Best practices for deploying FileVault 2 inches. Apple Incorporated pages 40. Retrieved September 5, 2012. Archived, Mac OS X 10.3, 10.4 Transferring data with Setup Assistant / Migration Assistant FAQ. Apple Support. Apple. Retrieved January 21, 2013. Using encrypted disks. CrashPlan Pro Support. CrashPlan Pro. Retrieved January 21, 2013. Using CrashPlan with FileVault. CrashPlan Support. CrashPlan. Retrieved January 21, 2013. Jacob Appelbaum, Raw Philip Weinman. Unlocking FileVault, an analysis of Apple's disk encryption. Retrieved March 31, 2007. J. Alex Haldeman. Lest we remember, cold boot attacks on encryption keys. Unlocking FileVault, an analysis of Apple's disk encryption system. AB Apple, Incorporated. Best practices for deploying FileVault 2 inches. Apple, Incorporated pages 28. Retrieved September 5, 2012. Dworkin, Morris. Recommendation for block cipher modes of operation, the XTSAS mode for confidentiality on storage devices. NIST special publication. Andrew Cunningham, Christian var Currency TTA Paragraph and Anand Lal Shimpi. Back to the Mac, OS X 10.7 Lion Review. AnandTech. Retrieved January 21, 2013. FileVault 2 benchmarks show full disk encryption is faster than ever in OS X Lion. OS X Daily. August 10, 2011. Retrieved January 21, 2013. Chowdhury, Omar. Felix Grobert. Joachim Metz. Infiltrate the Vault, Security Analysis and Decryption of Lion Full Disk Encryption. Retrieved January 19, 2013. Setup, 8, Mac OS X Manual Page. Apple. August 21, 2013. Retrieved August 9, 2014.